To go out there and take a look at it. Well, speaking of traditional business models like, Taylorism and all that sort of stuff, everything in that model is pretty much driven by managers. I mean, managers and experts design a system, managers and experts pull in the resources to generate an outcome that they want. They define a process for resources to flow through to generate a quality outcome, and they, managers and experts, observe the outcome and adjust the resources and the system. So in an environment where management role is to control the system in order to create optimal outputs and optimize margins, how do you introduce and foster innovation, which tends to be a messy, non-optimized, ugly process? I mean, managers, they got to make sure that they're staying on track with their goals, but at the same time, you want to be able to improve and innovate your quality management system in order to do that. Well, Joe Humm, Vice President for Global Sales and Operations at Sparta Systems, is here via Skype to discuss that topic with us. Morning, Joe.
Morning, Nate. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, sure. So that's the big question. How can an organization develop a culture of creativity that not only taps into the knowledge and capabilities of its people, but also gets them engaged in such a way that they care about quality, they care about outcomes, they care about customer experience?
Yeah, it's a great question. And you mentioned Taylorism before, and Taylorism really does tie back to this environment where you've got a manager and group of experts pulling together all the resources, defining the process, and then ultimately measuring the evidence and the outcome, and then perhaps making incremental adjustments to that entire system. And that works very well to manage the world today, right? But if you're looking to create the world of tomorrow, oftentimes you can create a condition for designing that future if you pull your entire group together. And we call them, Edward Stemmings used to call them quality circles. You can call them, big group meetings or what have you. But you bring everyone together and the leader basically puts a topic out there. And that topic allows everyone to create what we'll call dialogue around that specific topic, where they can start to imagine what the future is, right? And you can begin to use tools such as appreciative inquiry, and you can also use other tools to begin to design out what you want that future paradigm to look like. And as you drive through the process, what happens is everyone feels as though they're involved or they're invested in the development of this new system or this new product or this new business model or whatever it may be. And they're going to become that much more committed to making it work. Not to mention, they're able to share ideas, and folks are able to really understand one another on why they're promoting certain elements of an idea and so forth. Well, I'll add this last point is it's important when you bring this group of people together for this dialogue to basically incorporate the concept of mindfulness into the overall conversation. Being mindful of the fact that that person in front of you is invested in solving this problem as much as you are, and that you really want to try to listen to what ideas they're sharing and see how you can build upon one another's ideas to create that better future.
Well, as you were talking, I'm thinking this sounds like two things have to happen. I mean, one is, obviously, the idea of quality circles, cross-functional teams, so on and so forth. That's been around forever, as you mentioned. Deming brought them up. But in order for those to work, management has to buy into the process as well. So how do you sell managers to, relinquish some of this power of the whole design and overseeing and so forth, so that they get behind the power of a cross-functional team or a quality circle?
Yeah, great question. So, there's tools out there, there's toolkits out there that you can ultimately use to drive your organization through this innovation process. So, for example, there's books out there that have been published on design-based thinking, whereby you can outline a customer journey map, right? So if you're sitting together as a group and you're, co-creating a new concept, new idea, new product, you can then drive that new product or concept through a journey, through storyboards, and begin to basically develop what that story or what that product is going to look like. And then what you can do is you can ultimately go out and begin testing it in the marketplace and do it in such a way that it's not incredibly resource intensive, it doesn't cost a lot of money, And then you can use good old-fashioned methods of, I guess, business conduct or what have you, of observing, listening, and couple that with the more traditional methods of data collection, evidence gathering, and so forth. And then finally, what you can do is you can use what I'll call the OODA, which is Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act methodology, to then make decisions to bring back to this group or to this cross-functional team to discuss, what specifically happened, what information, what evidence did you gather or garner, and what might you want to do to adjust your storyboard or to adjust your journey map, and then continue that iterative cycle until you feel like you have this new innovation or this new concept that's ready to ultimately start transitioning out of this innovation cycle and more so into the traditional Taylorism type of model that you were talking about before.
Well, Joe, it strikes me as I'm listening to you say that, and you go through those cycles. How do you know when you're done? I mean, it's kind of like painting a picture, right? It's like, how do you know when the brushstrokes are ready and you're ready to launch your future state?
Well, I think that's really where leadership comes in, right? So leadership, it's incumbent upon them to know and understand and to sort of drive the ship. Now you've got your whole team invested and everyone understands, what's been developed and they're been involved in the creation of this idea or concept. Now it's really the leader's responsibility to say, okay, when do we start making this transition out of the sort of innovation paradigm and into that more, run mode type of paradigm or Taylorism type of paradigm? And that really is incumbent upon the leader's experience, their feel, their sense, their past experience, their knowledge, the information available. Taking all these different sources into consideration, and then also reaching out to the individuals on the team and understanding what their perspective is. So one can say you're never necessarily done, right? Even in Taylorism, you're still making incremental modifications. But in this paradigm, you ultimately have to decide amongst your team on when is this product or concept market ready, and then shift it out from one paradigm into the next.
Well, Joe Humm, thanks for joining us this morning. We are going to be having a webinar with you guys next Tuesday, a methodology for building a comprehensive quality capabilities strategy. That's next Tuesday, February 2nd, 2016 at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And it's going to be Joe right there and myself. I'll be the host, and Joe will be the smart guy talking about everything that he's been talking about right now and a lot more. So be sure to join us for that webinar next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Joe, thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Joe. We'll see you on Tuesday. Good stuff there. And I like the way that he kind of wrapped in Taylorism in that, because it really is kind of the two axes of this thing, is that very top-down element of command and control versus the more quality circles. And of course, we're Quality Circle Institute, our
root company,
right? So I mean, this idea that it's going to, whether it's top-down or bubble up, and I think what he's talking about here is kind of a combination of those two things. You need somewhere in the middle where there is some command and control, but there's also a lot of ideas.
Yeah, that's the value of quality circles or cross-functional teams. That basically is where kind of the two meet.
Yeah, good stuff there. All right, so we look forward to that webinar next week. All right, well,